Tales from afar, stories to burn, dodgy old geezers and lessons to learn. From Alfred to Jerry, the scamps and the graft, they're spilling the beans and having a laugh. Mark, Annie and Pete, they're talking matter for you. Old school charm and a pint or two. So press play now, don't miss a treat. You'll love the stories, put it on the slate. Tales galore and so much more. So listen now with her indoors.
Hello there, I'm Pete.
I'm Andy,
And I'm Mark.
and you're listening to Minder on the Slate. Hello and welcome to our podcast celebrating all things Minder. We've decided to go back to 1979 and watch every single episode of this fantastic show. Each week we are watching, reviewing and rating a different episode, telling stories and some of the history of this great show, and hopefully welcoming in actors or actresses into our special guest Hall of Fame. So what are we talking about today, Pete?
Well, today, Andy, we are discussing Series 1, Episode 9, Come in T-64, Your Time is Ticking Away.
This was first broadcast on the 17th of December 1979. It was written by Tony Hoare and directed by Francis McGahey.
Joining Dennis Waterman and George Cole as Terry and Arthur, we have George Layton as Des, Diana Mallin as Debbie, and Alfred Burke as Kevin. Okay, Pete, give us a bit of info about today's episode before we get going.
Yeah, no problem, Andy. Well, basically, today we find out that Arthur has shares in a minicab company called Candy Cabs, but unfortunately, accidents start to befall both the drivers and their cars. Believing he is being done over, Arthur persuades a very reluctant Terry to join the firm and make some further inquiries.
He does indeed. Okay, well, before we get going, I think we should probably give a mention. This episode is the first one to feature Diana Mallin as Debbie, who's a real fan favourite. I think she's in 5 episodes, and this is the first one. The other person that's probably worth a quick shout out is Tony Hoare, and this is the first of 20, I think, that he writes, and I think he's the most prolific writer.
Didn't know it was that many.
I think it's 20, yeah, and I think he's the most
Wow.
prolific writer in mind, more even than Leon Griffiths. So
Yeah, and he carried on through to the Gary Webster years as well, didn't he? He was
Yeah.
the first to 10 series.
yeah, he doesn't do. I think he had a bit of a falling out and doesn't do 8 or 9, but he wrote
Yeah.
some in the 10th episode. And I was thinking, we've talked about doing specials. You know, obviously we're doing episode reviews, but we've talked about doing a few specials, and I think Tony Hall is probably someone that we could probably do a whole special on because he was quite a character. And I mean, I haven't done that much research yet. I know, Pete, you know a lot more about him, and I don't want to get after the Graham Stark debacle of last week. I don't want to go and say too much. But basically, I read 2 things. The first thing I read about him was that he was in an accident when he was young, and he lost an eye and damaged his back so much that he couldn't turn his head, I read. And the second thing I read about him was that he was a very bad getaway driver. Now, and I'm thinking, if you've got one eye and you can't move your head, of course you're going to be a bad getaway driver, aren't you?
But how many times are you allowed to be a bad getaway driver?
Well,
Surely
exact-
after one bad go, your career's over.
And you think, like, if you're planning the blag you're going to do, and it's just like, you know, who should we get to be the wheels man? What about Tony? It was like,
What
one eye. And so, I mean, he led a very colourful life, I think, and was a villain turned writer, wasn't he? In his own, you know, which he would freely admit. And I think we could probably do a whole podcast on it. But I thought this is the first episode of Minder that he's written, so we'll get into that today. But is there anything else you want to add on him?
I fully agree with what you're saying. I think if we do any sort of specials alongside the episode discussions, etc., I think we really need to start with Tony Hoare. He's such a colourful character. You know, we joked earlier, but his episodes brim with authenticity, shall we say, because he used to be, to use his terminology, one of the chaps. I would say Minder was the show he was born to write. So it comes as no. I think he helped shape Minder. I think his humour and his eye for detail and using things from his experience really took it in a particular direction. We've got a couple of contacts through sort of fandom and stuff like that. People who knew him, and I'd like to speak to them to maybe get a bit more. For example, I know there's a script out, or there's a book out there, I think, the book that he wrote when he was in prison. And I think it might have been turned into a play, but I don't think it's been published as a book. And I'd love to find out more about that. So, and I've got an interview. So one of you mentioned an interview that's online. I've got another interview with him, a recording that I did in probably about 20 years ago. So I'll dig that out and I'll send it to you, and we can maybe feature that in the special. So yeah, good idea, Andy.
Okay, fantastic.
And appropriate that we mark that both of them are featuring in the episode.
Yeah, well,
for the first time.
And Dinah Marlin's bottom makes an appearance. So it's the first sight of Debbie's bottom.
Excellent. I knew you'd bring that up. So
Well, the opening scene, we have a taxi driver who's been called out of a job, and he's struggling to find the address, and then it involves him climbing loads of stairs. He's in a multi-story, and he finally gets to the address, and it turns out that it's a bogus call. The woman in the flat hasn't ran for the taxi at all. Meanwhile, a couple of leery youths torch his taxi, and it goes up in flames. Quite a dramatic start.
it is.
Yeah, it's quite a strange reaction from the driver as well when he comes down. I think he's done an admirable job so far, and then when he comes down to see his car on fire, it's just sort of a yeah. It's not like absolute horror running towards it. What's going on when it's properly on fire as well. I mean, it's the whole thing is being cremated, isn't it? So it's. But yeah, it's quite an understated display of emotion if your car was completely on fire.
Yeah.
Brilliant word, Mark. And I think understated sums up this whole very slightly odd episode, but we'll get into all that. So
well, we
yes.
can touch on it slightly. You say odd. I think the word I wrote down was weird. I don't know whether you have an adjective for it, but it's like. Anyway, but we will get into it. But
So after the firebomb incident, we then see Terry down the gym where he trains, and presumably his old trainer from the old days asks him if he'll do help out with a bit of sparring for the resident champion. And I'm assuming both of you gents recognise the
very, very much a very familiar face. And for me, the main thing that I recognise him from is from the Likely Lads movie.
yes,
that vicar. You wouldn't think it to look at him.
Yeah. And of course, that vicar in the Likely Lads movie is Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. So you wouldn't think of it to look at him either. But it's a great line, and it's just as soon as you see his face, you think, oh yeah, that's a very familiar looking character. Is it Eric Mason? I didn't really know much about his work, but he's in Hot Fuzz as well.
Yes,
He's in everything.
He's in everything.
Didn't realise he was in Hot Fuzz.
That's the first thing
That
that
was his
comes
final
up.
movie.
Yeah, when you look him up, doesn't
Oh, is
it? Yeah. It seems like the trailer for that. So when I was saying about it being weird, the boxing thing is a bit weird, isn't it? Because basically, you just watch Terry get beaten up.
I like this though. I think what this episode does well, and we will obviously come on to what it doesn't do so well. But what I think it does well is comedy, and I think that the director, the comedy scenes are really good, and most of the other scenes are slightly understated, underplayed, whatever. I'm not sure I've got an adjective for it, but weird might be the one, but the comedy scenes are really, really good. And the boxing scene is very funny, mainly because Arthur behaves like a over-enthusiastic dad on the sides of a football match who's shouting terrible instructions at their kids while they're playing a game, and he's
Hit him
he-
in the
he's,
orchestras, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Which he says twice.
I lo-
Give him some stick in the orchestras.
if in doubt, hit him in the orchestra. Yeah, so it's that's quite funny. But Terry does get a proper pasting, and then Arthur keeps telling him, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And then makes an excuse that he's had gastroenteritis
Yeah.
or
What are
something,
you
or
doing?
pneumonia. Yeah, it's so it's quite a good comedy scene.
And he's complaining about like what it would do to his reputation, to Arthur's reputation, isn't it? Because Terry's getting pummeled in the ring. He's like, well,
And
you
Terry's
drunk?
like, it's not like this on the cobbles.
Yeah.
You know,
Are you
if you've got
drunk or
this-
something?
He touches a nerve, doesn't he?
Yes,
With Terry,
very much so.
because he says, "Just leave it, Arthur."
Yeah.
And it's we touched on this in our previous episode. It's like his age catching up with Terry. I mean, even though he's probably just in his early 30s at this point, his age catching up with Terry. Does he realise that to quote Toby Keith, he ain't as good as he once was? But as we see later on, he's as good once as he ever was.
As he ever was.
Yeah.
But you're right about the comedy, and it occurred to me the first time he says, "What are you doing?" and Terry just looks at him. And that's clever writing, because the temptation will be as a writer to say, "What do you think? What does it look like I'm doing?" etc., etc. And everything he needs to communicate, he just communicates to him with a weary look,
Yeah.
which speaks 1,000 words.
It doesn't.
And hit him in the orchestras. It's not a term that's used. I've not heard it since. I don't think.
And he uses
I
it
assume
twice.
it's orchestra. Yeah, I assume it's orchestra halls. Hit him in the orchestra halls.
I assume that's what he's referring to. Yeah.
But yeah, it's not.
It's not
It's
one
not
I'm
commonly used.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Orchestra stalls or orchestra hall. Yeah, no.
Yeah, stalls
Yeah,
could be.
Yeah, stalls. Yeah.
But again, I suspect that could well be a George Cole thing, but I suspect that's more of a Tony Hoare thing.
Yeah, I think it's a Tony Hoare thing. Yeah.
But you know what he's talking about. No matter if you've never heard it before, you know exactly what he's referring to. And I think it's a
Yes.
lovely phrase, which I am now going to bring into everyday usage at work.
Yes. Whilst all this has been going on in between, we've also seen Arthur having a chat with Kevin, the main proprietor of the taxi firm,
Handicaps.
and they have candy cabs, and they're talking about all these accidents that are happening. And Kevin, the proprietor, is a very well-known actor, and I imagine at this stage he was really well-known.
Yeah.
He'd been like top draw telly star, and then he's sort of guest star in this. And no, not having a dig. It just seems like a weird,
I mean, I think that.
a few years. Go on,
Yeah, I
Andy,
was going to
sorry,
say, I think there's we've had this with like Dave King and people like that. There's quite big names that they've got as the sort of guest star, isn't there? So, and they say
Yeah.
like, I think people aren't so sure who he is now, but he was quite. Private Eye was a huge show, wasn't it? It ran forever, didn't it?
Public eye.
Public
Yeah.
Eye, Private Eye. Sorry.
But I say for our age group, when we would say being 7 at the time, never heard
No,
of it.
yeah, exactly.
We would be completely unaware. But for like the Dave King thing, if you're a little bit older, then he'd be a really big name and a very familiar face.
Yeah,
But for
exactly.
us, like young school goers, it's just like something doesn't sit right about him being called Kevin. He looks too old to be called Kevin at that stage. There weren't many. If you were Kevin, you don't like, because how old would he be now? He'd probably, if he's alive, he may well be alive. But if he'd be in his
No, he's not.
90s, there's not. But he'd be in his 90s, wouldn't he? How many Kevins do you get? There are 90.
He would
It's
be.
sort of a 50 to 60-year-old name, isn't it?
He died 15 years ago, and he was 92 when he died.
Right, so 107. If you were 107, would you be called Kevin?
Do we know what his surname is? Because I suspect he was meant to be an Irish character, and it wouldn't have been that unusual for an
Possibly.
Irish
They
an Irish man in London to be called Kevin.
don't give him a surname. I don't think he is just Kevin.
Handy,
He's,
possibly. Handy.
Yeah,
Seems
no,
unlikely.
No, yeah, it's he's. I think you've used the term weird, Andy. You've used the word understated. I think it's a really strange casting choice, and I think I haven't watched loads of Public Eye, but I have watched some of it, and he just brings this kind of really sort of detached weariness to everything, like almost like a George Smiley type character. And he's kind of just this person who just observes everything, but sort of, and is just, like I say, removed from everything. And he brings that same weird energy to this, like what's meant to be a reasonably jovial guest part, in Minder. And he just brings this weird surliness and lack of sort of obvious emotion. And it's not a word I use often, but I find it quite discombobulating.
Is that the longest word we've used on the podcast so far?
Probably, yeah.
Without doubt.
That is a challenge for next week.
Do you know what I mean about his, like I say, the energy that he brings? It's just a bit.
It's a weird ending. I'd say it's slightly off-putting. Sometimes you think, oh, he's doing a quite good job, and then you're not sure, and then and it changes throughout the episode, I think. And I'm not convinced by the performance entirely.
I think it's relevant to point out that the last thing I watched him in recently was about Nazi hunters in South America, and he played one of the big hitters. It was a true story, and he was much more convincing as a Nazi on the run, living a lie, than he was as Kevin, the proprietor of Candy Cabs.
Right, so back at the gym, Arthur persuades Terry to help out, doesn't he? And I mean, this is, part of the weird thing about, well, why I say this episode is possibly weird is that Terry is, I think for the first time in Minder, that he is kind of the butt of the joke, isn't he? If you know what I mean.
But particularly when he gets to see Des. Des takes him for a proper ride in this.
Well, this is it, but Arthur does as well. And there's some of the earlier episodes. I mean, I know that this is obviously something that runs through Minder and that's the way it goes. But from this series, this is the first time, some of the episodes they've been quite partners, haven't they, Terry and Arthur, like with the Scotch Harry episode. And
yeah, I'd agree.
And this one, it seems like they're all taking Terry for a ride. And the boxing scene starts, like he gets beaten up, then Des takes him for a ride. Well, Arthur takes him for a ride, then Des takes him for a ride. I mean, he gets to, with Debbie, but
you make your own luck in this world, Andy.
yeah, but he is definitely the butt of the joke for the first time, isn't he?
No, I agree.
Which is quite surprising.
Does that, as a sort of as a Minder fanatic, does that leave a nasty taste for you, or is it about right in terms of what we know, how the series develops?
So I was wondering, we're talking, obviously we've spoken a lot about Tony Hall already. And I think the next episode he writes is the one, series 2, the early one with the antique shop. And again, he's kind of, Terry's the butt of the joke in that as well, isn't he? As, that he doesn't want to. And then it goes on, and he's sleeping in a stable with a horse and all sorts as time goes on. And, that's just the way the show went, isn't it? But this is definitely the first sign of that, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I hadn't thought about it like that, but it's a good point. Everybody's kind of pardon me, French, but everybody's shitting on everyone, and it all runs downhill, and Terry's at the bottom of the pile, basically. Yeah, no, I'd agree.
Yeah, so he reluctantly agrees to become a taxi driver, and then he has to get a car, which he gets from Des.
Yes,
and it's an absolute shocker.
Yeah.
It is an absolute shocker. Yeah, Des is looking good in this. He's got longer hair than normal. George Layton playing Des. He's dressed a little bit sharper than normal.
Go on, I was like, he literally looks like he's walked off the set of something else, doesn't he? Do you not think that first? He's got those shirt wide open, and he's got a jacket on. He's got flair. He's not dressed as a mechanic. He's dressed like...
No, he's come from the set of Saturday Night Fever.
yeah.
It is like that, yeah.
Which is a bit weird, but it's always brilliant to see.
But yeah, he gets a car for Terry, which is immovable stock, effectively. Terry's like, can't I have one of those ones? And it's like, no, I could move that. I can sell those. Whereas this pile of old rubbish is absolutely shocking. And the only good thing on it are the wheels. apparently.
Yeah, apparently.
because it comes with to try and sweeten the deal and to try and persuade Terry that it's better than it looks. He tells him that it was, or he implies that it was used in a,
Yeah.
it was used in a blag. So that's a bit of Mr. Haw and his real life experiences coming to the fore there.
And-
Only the engine, not
Yeah.
the body of the car. It's just the engine, so it's got some good power under the hood.
Which doesn't really show up, but do you think that that was a Tony Haw thing, that sort of thing did happen? That you would scrap
sure,
the car, but
yeah.
you would keep the engine if it was...
Ringers.
Yeah.
And Des is fond of a ringer, I would suggest. And I'm fairly sure that rears its head at some stage as well, doesn't it?
But this is peak Des being really, what was the word? Crafty, shady, double crossing. But he really takes advantage of everyone in this episode, I think. It's peak Des being a wrong 'un.
Yeah. And that's the other thing about, like, Terry, that the previous Des episode, Bounty Hunter, he's like, when Terry finds out, he chases after him and he's prepared to duff him up. And, you know, I have that sort of scene and he's hanging off the thing. Whereas this time he just seems to roll over and let Des... I mean, there's a scene later, isn't there? But we'll get to. But, you know, he just lets Des completely take advantage of him, which he wouldn't have done 3 or 4 episodes ago.
Speaking of people in snazzy 3-piece suits, we then see another taxi driver being turned over by these wrong-uns who firebombed the car at the start of the episode, don't we? So we see this quite well-spoken taxi driver who lives in slum housing in London, and he's well-dressed, and he picks up these 2 thugs who are, you know, one of them's kind of Johnny Rotten-esque in terms of his delivery and his snarl.
I was going Alvin Stardust. I reckon he looks like a punk Alvin Stardust.
Yeah, because he's got leather. He's got like, has
Yeah,
he got
all dressed
bondage
in black.
trousers on?
Yeah.
I mean,
Leather trousers, all dressed in black, tie. Yeah.
I believe he later played Mark Bolan in something. I think he was primarily a musician, wasn't he? I guess you've done some
Yes.
notes on them. But I mean, for me, the 2 villains in this, Greg and Billy, I think they're called, and Barry, to be fair, is some of the worst acting we've seen and in this series so far. They are all terrible, I think, or pretty terrible.
I don't mind Barry. I'm going to stick up for Barry
But
here.
again, like, go on.
I mean, there's a couple of bits which suddenly come to mind where you go, oh yeah, maybe it wasn't the best. And to be fair, he didn't stay in acting for long. Bless him, Michael Bruce. He did Harry's Game, but his last sort of acting role was in 1983. And as I say, there's not many of them. But I'd stick up for him in this one. I think he's vaguely okay. I mean,
but again, like,
partly it's script. I think that he's
miscast.
the bit that
It's
he's
like,
doing. I think,
yeah, he's not he's miscast.
But if you're going to have someone, he is going to get beaten up, isn't he? The way he's behaving, it does lend itself to someone who might be turned over.
Well,
yeah, Greg
on himself.
Not that bit, but just sort of is a bit of an easy target. If you were looking to, you're not going to pick on Terry if he's driving your minicab, are you? You're going to be thinking, oh, hold on. But if you've been, well, I don't want to give any spoilers, but if you're targeting cab drivers and you're thinking of duffing them up rather than burning their cab, you think Barry might be an option.
Yeah, he's soft as, isn't he? Really.
Yeah, but they're not, they're pretty weedy blokes as well, aren't they? I mean,
I think Greg's got a bit about him.
Greg maybe, but Billy just looks, anyway.
So can I ask Andy and yourself, Mark, what did so they keep saying, "Oh, turn left, cabby," and he says, "Just tell me where you want to go and I'll find it." And they say, "Oh, we don't really know ourselves," and then eventually they beat him up. What do you make of the scene when he rings? I'm laughing. It's not even meant to be funny. The scene when he rings in.
Well,
to say that he's.
This was the bit where I wasn't convinced about his acting. It's like, hello,
hello,
hello. It's not good, is it? And he's like, it's Barry.
Kevin, I'm hurt. I don't think it was meant to be as eerie and like uneasy as it comes across, but I was ruefully minded of Hal in 2001 Space Oddity.
Well, I
It was just
didn't
really eerie.
think we were going to go there. When I sat and watched this afternoon, I could have had a million guesses.
But no, it's just really weird because they're not really doing anything. They just got Alfred, what's his face, Alfred Burke,
Yeah.
just with this sort of mournful, sort of ghost-like look on his face. It's just a very strange episode. He said, "Kevin, I've heard Kevin." Yeah.
So
So
the other thing
Terry,
about this episode, the other thing that I think doesn't do it any favors, there is no proper punch up at any stage. Like when they're beating up Barry, they literally pull his hair back and then it cuts. Now I don't know if this is, I've watched it on several different platforms and it's always the same. So I don't know if there's a proper duffing up scene. Later on, when Terry seeks retribution on behalf of Barry, there is no duffing up scene. It's all just stopping, and it's why it's
Chasing.
not. I don't know. Yeah, it's a
I don't- I-
chasey
you know, I don't
episode
think
rather than a
those-
punch up episode.
Yeah, I don't think those blokes had it in them either. Like you've got some proper punch ups in some of the other episodes we've had where you've got decent stuntmen come in and you're having a proper choreographed fight. But I don't think
Yeah.
those
With
they-
Howard from Ever Decreasing
Yeah.
Circles.
I don't think that Greg and Billy have got it. It just doesn't look, even with two of them, it doesn't look like they're ever going to be any kind of issue for Terry, does it? And so,
you've mentioned stuntmen there, Andy. Did you clock, just going back slightly, did you clock that the boxer that Terry spars with was a very, very prolific stunt performer?
I did, I read something about it. Is it,
I can't remember his name, but he was in absolutely tons,
was it Nick Hobbs?
including Nick Hobbs. Yeah, that's the one. And he was in certainly the Roger Moore Bond films. And I wish I'd pulled my finger out earlier in terms of preparing for this episode, because I've got a mutual friend who's very good friends with one of the main stuntmen on those Bond films, Roger Moore ones, and then the Timothy Dalton ones. And I wish I'd got in touch with him to say, what can you tell us about Nick Hobbs?
Okay.
But, last minute.
Do your research, man. Do your research.
I know,
Come on.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Well, maybe we'll do a Nick Hobbs special at some point.
Well, maybe, yeah.
So I think we need to move this on a little bit, don't we? So basically, Terry gets a radio fitted to his car, and he's going to go and start cabbing. There's weird music in this as well, isn't there? And it's
Yeah.
like music from the
Yes.
Sting, and so you get like you get like montages of Terry driving around town, dropping people off and stuff to weird sort of piano-y
Sort of rag sort of
yeah.
style music.
But
Yeah, there is ragtime sort of piano music.
yeah. And where do we go to next? Is it he sort of ingrains
Well,
himself in.
we need to mention,
Go on,
with the other drivers, including Mr.
Tony Carpenter.
Oscar Bottle Boys James. Yeah.
Original EastEnders character, one of the original characters in the first
Yeah.
episode of
Yeah.
EastEnders.
I always remember
And
when,
he was really good in EastEnders.
I always remember watching the first ever episode of EastEnders. I think definitely watched it with my sister. I can't remember the rest of the family were there. But I always remember we were watching it, and then my sister just went, "That's the bloke from that milk thing," meaning Bottle Boys. And it was just like,
Wow,
"It is!
excellent.
It's that bloke from that milk thing." Yeah. Because, he was a regular in Bottle Boys, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also in a really good, I think it's, so we mentioned when we talked about OK Laundrette, mentioned about the, oh God, what's his name? Who plays Stretch? Terry something. I can't remember his name.
Hold on.
Not Terry Thomas.
Yeah, it's
Trevor Thomas.
Thompson.
Trevor Thomas.
Trevor
Sorry.
Thomas.
Yeah, Trevor Thomas.
Because you wanted to call him
And
Terry
he's in a
Thomas.
film called, yes, and I've just done it again.
Yeah.
And I mentioned how he's in a film called Black Joy
Yes.
with Norman Beaton. And Oscar James is in a really good film called Pressure with Brian Bovell, who was in The Bill and Prospects,
Oh, yeah.
one from your era, chaps, no offence.
Well, and let's not forget Greg of the beating up, the two Herberts. He was in Prospects as well.
Semi-regular or?
Yeah, he did about 3 or 4 episodes, I think.
Very good. See, it's just one big happy
Yeah.
family, isn't it?
Yeah.
Carl Howman's in it. To me, we're going slightly off topic. Sorry, Andy.
It's all right.
But to me, the film Pressure is basically like Quadrophenia, but for sort of Black London youths. It's a really, really good film. I would wholeheartedly recommend it. But it doesn't get that kind of credit or exposure,
No,
and it really should.
I've never heard
He's
of
in
it.
it, and he's very, very good.
Oh,
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
no, yeah,
yeah, no,
heard of it.
he is good, and they kind of tell Terry it'll all be all right, and he'll get used to it and stuff like that. And then a call comes in to pick up, I guess, Debbie at an address, and they both know who it is, don't they? And they said, "Oh, we're just going for some lunch," and they let Terry do it. And it's a bit of a weird scene, isn't it? Because he picks Debbie up, and then he drives it. He finds out that she's a stripper, and she's obviously very attractive, and he drives her, and they go around sort of the back alley where she wants to be dropped off. And then she seems to sort of like,
No jokes.
yeah,
No jokes.
yeah, and like entice him by, running her drawers over his face or something. But my question is, do Oscar James and the other fella, do they know that this is going to happen? Is this a regular thing, or does she just take a shine to Terry?
That is the suggestion.
You're right,
Yeah.
because she says everybody knows I do this trip every day but Sunday.
Right, when she goes to church.
I mean, she'll tire herself out before she goes on stage, won't she?
But you've got to preserve your energy, haven't you, before
Yeah.
a big performance,
Yeah,
like boxing.
but why would Oscar and the other fella, can't remember, should give him a name check, can't remember who he is, but why would they let Terry go?
Well,
Well, they've been
maybe
at it for months.
Yeah,
Well,
and they might be cut from the same moral cloth as Arthur,
okay.
because he's
It doesn't look
obviously-
like
he's-
it, but the look on their face when they send Terry along
Yeah.
for this expedition, and they don't look like they're on the same moral path as
No,
Arthur.
But I mean, Terry.
And Arthur's moral compass in this regard is also very, very vague in this series.
I mean, Terry's only been at the job for less than 8 hours, and he's already, been propositioned. Not bad, is it?
it's basically turned into Adventures of a Taxi Driver.
Yeah, it's a little bit, isn't it? Yeah.
You know, before the end of his shift. So there is a strong suggestion towards the viewer that she's paid her fare in kind, perhaps.
But it was only £1.60.
And that's a lot of money back in those days.
Fair
I
enough.
think that was the Barry fare as well. I think this one might have been £2.40. And if you're doing that every day of the week, that mounts up.
I suppose it does.
So you mount up instead.
So he's had a message over the radio to say, Arthur says meet him in the pub.
You'll know which one.
You'll know which one. It turns out it's the Havelock Tavern, which is still there, I believe.
Yes, it is. And that's definitely going on our Minder pub crawl route, isn't it? I've not been there that I'm aware of.
No, and isn't
I definitely haven't been.
Isn't it right by Mr. Mukherjee's shop, isn't it?
It is, yeah. It's at the end of the street.
Because I read somewhere.
So what are you going to do? Put Mr. Mukherjee's windows in and then we'll go for a pint?
But yeah, I'm pretty sure I read that at one scene when they come out of the pub, Terry and Arthur, because they spot the thugs, don't they? And they wait for them outside. And I think apparently you can see the shop from there. I didn't clock it myself, but apparently you can.
Is that courtesy of Minder.org?
It is
It
Minder.org.
is very much courtesy of Minder.org.
Everything's
So
courtesy of-
I watched it originally, and then I watched it originally and didn't notice it. Then I read it on Minder.org, and then when I watched it again, I did look out for it, and yeah, you can see it.
Yeah, okay.
I know we say this every time, but genuine shout out for that website, because it's an absolute mine of information, isn't it? Especially with location stuff. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so
Yeah, very good.
they spotted the thugs in the pub, haven't they? And then there's the guys come out, and there's a little bit of sort of fisticuffs, but basically ends up with Arthur's supposed to be looking after one of them while Terry chases the other. But it's not much of a punch up, is it? And doesn't he holds onto an iron gate and he punches his hand on the gate or something, and the bloke's all like that, and then that's pretty much it, isn't it?
I say, yeah, there's no real proper fight scene there's 4 opportunities, I think, for a fight scene, and there's none of them actually come to fruition.
Yeah.
It's strange because they're younger, aren't they?
Yeah.
I know they're meant to be young tearaways, but it feels like they're a generation apart from Dennis Waterman.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably not that much in it, all told, but it might have looked a bit weird, him giving them both a right good spanking. I don't know. But we see some more typical Arthur cowardice, don't we?
Yeah.
I'll wait in the car in case we have to chase after them.
Yeah, and then he just disappears altogether. He's not there which is not referenced again. Terry doesn't reference the fact that he's just left him.
No, he kind of walks around the corner, doesn't he? And he kind of sees that the other one's not there and Arthur's not there, and then that's just that. And then he drags him to see Barry, doesn't he? But Barry doesn't recognise him, or claims he doesn't recognise him.
Yes, he's again. You may be accurate with your acting synopsis here, but he's trying to play convincingly that he doesn't recognise him, but doesn't do it very well. So is that good acting or bad acting? I don't know.
No comment.
One man's, yes. Just before we move on, because we're probably in the final throes of the plot, I would suggest there are some lines which haven't aged well and are not particularly respectful to the fairer sex, shall we say.
Mm-hmm.
So when Terry's talking about what Debbie offered in the back lane, Arthur says, "You obliged it in broad daylight." And then Terry basically says, "I haven't, but I will." And then he says, "Got its number." Which there probably was never a time when referring to women as it was okay. But if there was a slight window when it was okay, it was probably December 1979. And they cashed in on it,
Yeah, but Arthur actually uses something even worse, doesn't he? Which we probably shouldn't repeat.
Yes, he does. You're right.
So
yeah, it pales into insignificance against the term that Arthur uses.
The S word. Yes.
Yes.
I don't pay you to.
Yeah,
Anyway.
yeah.
So there's.
But the pub looks great though, doesn't it? That the Havelock Tavern, that looks a really nice pub. Obviously, this is 1979. I don't know what it's like now. I looked up the reviews. It seemed okay. It seemed pretty decent. It was over a 4 out of 5 rating on Pub Advisor and TripAdvisor and all those sort of things.
Well, we shall go there.
I think it's modernised. I suspect. Yeah. I suspect none of it's not like the other one, that's in the Sweeney episode of Night Out. I forget what it's called. I think it's in Maidavale. Really elaborate old pub, and it's all still the same inside. I don't think this one is, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, because it looks very 1970s, doesn't it? From inside and out.
Yes.
Yeah, so
I think it features a few times. I think it was a bit of a regular one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think he walks past it, I think, in the previous week's episode.
Right.
But so anyway, we get to the most people's favourite scene, which is in Terry's flat. Arthur comes and knocking on the door, and Terry says,
I thought you were talking about something else. I was talking about, it's not my favourite scene, but it's a very memorable scene. But yes, carry on, Ant.
Well, we're just that Arthur's knocking on the door and says, "What have you been up to?" And he's, my property's been vandalised. And he's like, "Well, what do you mean? I've been a bit busy." So they go to the window and they look out and see the car's lost its wheels. And Debbie, played by Diana Malin, decides to walk across the room and join them at the window. Much to Arthur looks, doesn't he? And he's like, "Oh my good God!"
Arthur's shock and disgust. It's a fantastic double take, isn't it, from George Cole?
Yeah, because he looks around and, "Oh my good God!" Which is, "Oh my good God" is, I don't know how many times "Oh my good God" is used in Minder, but it's used hundreds of times.
This is one of the finest.
This is one of the best.
This is one of the
"Oh my
finest.
good God."
It's really, yeah.
Yeah.
And matched with the look on his face as well. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So that's very
to say she was only in 5 episodes, I mean this in a serious and not in a sort of salacious way or anything, but she really makes her impact in the world of Terry and Arthur, doesn't she?
Yes.
Yeah, something I've... Go on, Andy. Sorry, mate.
No, I was just saying that whenever you look, you read. I form my own opinions, but I've read quite a lot of other reviews, and everyone loves her, don't they? There's no one says, "Oh, oh no, she's in it. She's rubbish. Everyone loves Debs.
Yeah, it's not a phrase. I mean, they flesh out the role a bit more in other episodes. It's not really an acceptable phrase, but she's kind of the archetypal tart with a heart, which you would see in programs like this at the time. So yeah, no, she's good, and she certainly brightens up the screen, that's for sure. Because what we haven't talked about, we've talked about the proliferation of 3-piece suits straight off, the set of Saturday Night Fever. But other than that, this is another beige fest.
Yeah.
Yeah, Terry's very beige early on, isn't he?
And Kevin.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, mind you, looking at the screen now, you both two look quite beigey.
Yeah, I am quite beige.
I'm white,
I'm
red
beige.
and green.
Yeah, but yeah, so the Diana Malin character is, so Tony Hoare wrote 4 of her 5 episodes, so he obviously was keen on the character. And I think I'm probably reading too much into this, but I think she's popular because she fits well within this world, doesn't she? Because the trouble, I think the mind of falls down slightly is that you tend to have too many posh people in it rather than working class people. Posh people trying to be like the villains today, they're not London lads, are they? And that's the problem.
Wait, we had Derek Jacobi the other week.
Yeah, well, you know what I mean, though. Do you know what I mean? That some of the they're not. It's not quadrophenia, is it? And I think that's just the acting. And Terry is nearly always going after posh birds, isn't he? And I think that's just because there weren't that many working class women that they were giving parts to, or whether they were even going up for them. So I think her character works really well because she just fits in with this world, that she seems genuine.
Yeah, I'd agree. No, she's very good.
Yeah.
And thankfully, we'll get to marvel at her other performances as the podcast progresses. So the two little Herberts, they've had a phone call from the mystery aggravator, the person who's causing all the problems for the taxi firm. They've had a message saying, leave off the aggro. Terry's essentially, there's a hint of Terry's in town, so we need to scale it back a bit. But then they have a little bit of a giggle about nicking the wheels off his car. So we find out that was them as well. And then obviously Terry needs to get his wheels back.
So he goes to Des.
Another
And in the
appearance
meantime,
from...
in the meantime, they've been sold to Des, or Des has, he may have organised it anyway. But now Des is fitting Terry's own wheels back on his own car, so it's and charging him for it.
Yeah.
And
if it wasn't so mean, it would be funny.
Yeah, and the other weird thing about the thugs is that they seem to go everywhere on foot, yet can steal wheels off a car. They just seem to happen. Terry's driving a lady home, and they seem to walk around the corner but they don't seem to have a car. Not one you see anyway. So whether neither actor could drive, I don't know.
They're always in the pub as well, so they're always drinking. So having a
they're
car
always
wouldn't be
there at the right time,
great benefit
the right
for them.
place, right time.
Yeah, the
Just
one
on
with
location.
when. Very good, Peg. The one bit that really stands out is when Terry picks up the old soak, Katie, and he's driving her home, and she wants to stop for some cigarettes. They've already indicated that we're going to do something to his car apart from the wheels, and he pulls up outside the newsagents, gets out to get some cigarettes, and they just stroll fortunately round the corner. That is, it does grate slightly. Is that, well, that doesn't look very plausible, and then they stumble across it. This is a bit of luck. And then while Terry's in buying the cigarettes, they let the handbrake off. The old soak is fast asleep in the back of the car, and the car goes careering down the hill into a skip.
Yeah,
they're shouting, "Wally, oi, Wally!" at Terry, which is very 70s, I think.
One thing we've probably
and bear in mind, they were not fighters. Why are they highlighting the fact it's them that've done it? They should have they were away. They've done the damage. They were away.
But it's not
Whereas
like they
now
can
they've
jump into a
highlighted to
car.
Terry that they've done it.
Yeah, because they haven't got a car, or they don't seem to have a car. So,
Yeah. So that bit doesn't seem very accurate as to a real life situation.
and one thing we should have mentioned earlier is, while all this has been going on, Kevin has been trying to buy Arthur out of Candy Cabs, hasn't he? And he's offered him $5,000 his initial stake, but Arthur wants 8, and he's not having it. Arthur doesn't want to sell, but Kevin wants him to buy, wants to buy him out.
Yeah, and Arthur owns 60% of the business and is a silent, on-working partner, but he takes effectively half the money, or maybe 60% of the money. So Kevin's a little bit frustrated with this. I think what we're seeing when we get to the old soak hitting the skip, and the Terry again confronting the 2 young hoodlums, is it all coming to a conclusion at the end.
Yes, yeah.
But we have
This
missed
is-
out. We have missed out one of the best scenes at this stage.
Go on then. Tell us what.
Do you know what it is? Arthur in charge of the taxis.
God, yes. Yes, we have missed that.
It's an incredible comedy scene. Kevin's negotiating with Arthur about he wants to sell it. And now he's really trying to push how hard it is, a job that he has to do. And Kevin's like getting frustrated. He's starting to tell customers to go away, piss off. He's getting very angry. And Arthur's like, well, it can't be that hard. And then Kevin goes, right, I'm going home. I've got a headache. And he leaves Arthur in charge. And the next couple of minute and a half is an incredible. And this is why I think the director's really strange, in that it's really good at directing the comedy scenes. And it is, I think, a sensational piece of Minder comedy. But the rest of the episode's a bit odd. But I absolutely love this scene. Arthur's getting so flustered. George Cole is magnificent in this. Just his portrayal of a man who can't cope and is being overwhelmed by every little thing that happens is stunning.
What does that mean?
I really wonder what the process would have been. I know it sounds a bit poncy and pretentious, but because the script might have just been something as simple as, there's a scene where Arthur loses the plot trying to answer phones. So how does that idea, how does that then become this, like you say, wonderful scene? I imagine mostly down to George Cole, just working out how to do the bit of business in collaboration with the director.
Yeah.
And maybe the writer as well, I don't know.
Because it's really funny how he, there's little bits of physical comedy as well with the phones, and he's got the thing that he's speaking into for the cabs, and he gets it, he's got it upside down at one point, and it's all like really, really nicely done, and it is really, really funny. And this, well, we'll get to the ratings at the end. This isn't my favourite episode by a long shot, but this scene did makes you laugh out loud.
Yeah.
Because
yeah,
even just watching it on your own, you do laugh out loud at that scene because it is very, very funny.
Yeah. Yeah, I say, as much as I love Debbie's bum, this scene for me is my favourite of the episode.
Yes, I think, yeah.
So, in lieu of the fact that there isn't a punch-up, we do have a kind of a final set to, don't we? We have a final reckoning moment where we find out what's been going on.
Yes. Do you want to describe that, Mark?
Well, it's not a huge twist, is it?
No.
Because everything, I mean, virtually from the first 5 minutes, you can sort of see the ending coming in, the fact that it's Kevin who's been hiring these hoodlums to cause all the problems for all the drivers. So Terry gets it out of them. They go back to the cabs, and Terry and Arthur are waiting there for Kevin to come in, and then they say, oh, I think we'll have an executive meeting. What have you got there, Terry? Oh, I've got some blueprints I've got from the town hall, the planning committee, and there appears to be a huge supermarket and shopping precinct being set up at the position of Candy Cabs. And Kevin sort of plays a little bit dumb at this stage, but Arthur saying, you're forgetting about my sixth sense of knowing when I'm being done over.
Yeah.
And he he then lays the cards on the table and then offers to buy Kevin out for £2,000 for his 40% share. And then he drops that down to 1,000. I think they probably agreed at 2,000. Arthur makes a
Yeah.
nice little turn, gets to sell the freehold for candy cabs for however much money, and makes a proper good return on his investment.
Yes. And then the little
How does it end?
the little final denouement is
But at the end,
it
the
gives
ending's even it's even better.
so Arthur gives Terry the Morris Cambridge or whatever the car is, and he takes it to Des, who gives him 25 quid for it. And said, like,
Says it's scrap.
yeah, but yeah, he also says, but it's been used as a minicab since I sold it to you, so it's worth less than. So yeah, it completely does him over. And then Terry leaves, and then he sees it's a Lamborghini actually, which is not often seen in.
Is it really?
Yeah, I think it's a Lamborghini. And he looks
I had it down as a Datsun.
No, I think it's a Lamborghini. And he looks in the window and he sees a briefcase with someone's initials on, and the initials match the car number plate. And basically, he walks back in, and Des is trying to sell the number plate and the car to someone for 250 quid. And Terry says, "That's right, 125 each, eh, Des?" And Des says, "Have you met my partner?" So that's pretty much
Des
it.
gets the final line in the episode.
Yeah, Des gets it, and then Terry does finally get some money, and has been the butt of the joke for nearly the whole episode. But he does get 125 quid at the end.
Yeah, he gets his payday.
Yes.
As a final little twist or gag, it feels like a stretch. It feels a bit tenuous. Like, I know what we'll do. We'll have somebody whose initials match the thing, and Terry finds out by peering through the window and seeing his briefcase it feels like a stretch. That's all I'm going to say.
But it is a Datsun. You would look. Oh, sorry, a Lamborghini. You would look through the window, and then. But yeah, to see a briefcase with exactly the initials HCK on it. It's and then do a crafty glance to the left and see the car that you've just sold has 123 HCK. I think it might be 1234, but it's a very dubious number plate.
Yes.
I think.
Yeah. I did read some
Dubious plot twist.
I think I read on minder.org that on one of the forum things, someone said they looked up the number plate and it's never existed. So they obviously made this one up for the.
Yeah, I've done that thing of looking up number plates that are in TV shows, and I can't find anything. So I don't know if you've got to be registered or something like that. But
no.
Okay, so there we have it. Come in car T, whatever.
It's such a
Your
mouthful.
numbers ticking,
I mean, yeah,
whatever.
it's a strange title as well, isn't it? Yeah, it's a terrible
It's a
title.
terrible title.
Most of the titles have been pretty good so far.
Yeah.
This one is terrible.
Yeah, it's very difficult to say. I think one of you skipped it, didn't you, when we did the introduction? I think you went for it, Pete, didn't you? But Mark, you were like, "No, I'm not saying that." So should we do?
What's it a pun on? Because I assumed it was Car 54. Where are you?
Yeah, it's something else, isn't it?
Doesn't even.
It's like come in boat 62. Your time is up.
Yeah,
but it's not even your time is up. They stretch it out to your time is ticking away. So it's an amalgamation of lots of things that aren't really relevant.
Yeah, it's a terrible title.
Why is it called Candy Cabs? What's that about?
I quite like
There's just so many bloody questions in this episode.
I quite like the name Candy Cabs. I don't know why, but I like it.
It's nothing candylicious about anything that's going on in that.
I don't know why,
awful
but I
little
quite like
office
it.
with Kevin.
Yeah.
Did Tony Hoare know Candy Davis at this stage?
I know.
Could be a little tribute.
Jesus.
So I think I know the answer to this, but the Hall of Fame. Anyone
Nominees.
We've got a dilemma. I think we've got a dilemma, haven't we?
in what way?
In terms of how we categorise Debbie.
I don't think she could.
No, I think
be
you take Debbie and you take Des. They're
semi-regulars, aren't they?
actual proper characters. They're not. Yeah, they're not guest stars. They stand separately. I think we take those out of the equation.
Yeah, sorry, I hadn't even. Really
Des,
thought
it'd be, obviously Dave is mega regular, but Des and Debbie and Terry's other girlfriends to come that last more than a few episodes, I would say
Penny.
they're not guest star Hall of Fame potential.
No,
Yes. But they're semi-regular characters. So
I think you're looking at Alfred Burke
pure
today.
guest
aren't you?
star. Yes, and I'm voting no.
So am I.
I've got no hesitation in saying no.
Yeah, I think he was kind of on all.
I think it's worth referencing. Yeah, it's worth referencing for his public eye
Or
career,
private
which
eye,
I
as
think
I
was
call it.
I looked it up earlier. It was 7 series. Seven series, but in the last series, Peter Childs is a regular. Rycott is in the same series as him for like the final series of his big show.
Okay, so we'll
Interesting.
so no one Hall of Fame, and we didn't get a Caesar Palace or a Caesar salad this week either, really, did we?
No,
So we're gonna have to go.
No.
We're
Not
gonna
even in the restaurant.
no. So we're gonna have to go for marks out of 10. Mark, do you want to go first?
I'd say my observations. I've written them down here. Badly directed, other than the comedy scenes. Des and Debbie are great. There's no Terry Punch-Up. There's no Winchester. There's no Chisholm or Rycott. It's too easily resolved at the end. The fringe characters are quite one-dimensional and not particularly fleshed out. Overall, I'd give it a 6. It's enjoyable to watch, isn't it? It's Minder. It's still it's enjoyable. 45, 50 minutes, but it's not for me. And I know I'm aware on Minder.org where they rate the episodes. This one is quite popular, but for me, it doesn't quite work.
Peter?
Well, this is where I'm regretting being such a curmudgeon in our last episode because I went low, and I'm like, yeah, don't really think I can go lower than that. Oh, tricky. I'm gonna say 5 again
Okay, fair enough.
because it wasn't any better than last week's, but it wasn't any worse.
Oh,
That's proper punch up with Howard from Ever Decreasing Circles.
I'm my own man, Mark. I
Yeah.
can make my own decisions in life.
Yeah, and they may be wrong, but you're entitled to make them.
They frequently are. So, Andy, over to
yeah.
you.
Well, as said earlier, it's not my favourite episode by a long shot. I think the two hoodlums were terrible. Barry wasn't very good either. A couple of others pretty poor. One thing that did stand out, Des is great, absolutely fantastic. Debbie's brilliant as well. And also sometimes when you see people who are particularly poor in things, George Cole and Dennis Waterman stand out more, and they're actually really good in this, even though it's not a very good episode. But they do, you stick with it because of those two, don't you, as usual? But no, I'm gonna go 5. I think it's got a couple of nice bits, but it's disappointing. It's the first one I would watch it again, but you wouldn't rush to watch it again, I would say.
I read a comment earlier which says these early episodes of Minder are often quite bleak in terms of how it looks. And the dress, like the beige overload is definitely part of it. But then there's a lot of kind of, there's just a lot of run-down urban areas. And then, we see where that posh taxi driver is living, and it's like squalor, basically.
Mm.
And yeah, so it doesn't leave you with a particular, doesn't feel, often you finish an episode of Minder and you feel lifted. This doesn't really have that effect, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it is.
Can I,
No, I was just going to say, like,
What, Andy?
what I was going to say was like the difference you get in, you said it's quite bleak, but we've had an episode where basically international terrorists, and then the next week you're dealing with a couple of hoodlums, and it's quite weird that, like it's the same program, but so that kind of difference is quite stark, isn't it? But anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Arthur's going to turn his hand to anything where the money is, isn't he?
Yeah.
It's his business. He's happy to deal in international terrorism. He's happy to deal with the local cab firm problem.
Yeah.
I think it's part of this thing of the show in series 1, the show finding its feet.
Yes.
So you have like all these, like you say, varying styles and themes and stuff like that. So it's part of the rich tapestry of the program.
Mm.
But I think this is definitely one of the worser ones that we've encountered thus far. I have done a bit of research, gents. Am I okay to share it with you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, you're far away.
So, obviously I was inspired by your diligence, Andy, in Gunfight at the OK Laundrette when you told us about the pizza. What was it called? The
Or the spaghetti house.
pizza house incident,
Spaghetti.
hat
or the spaghetti house
Incident,
incident, or the spaghetti incident, as per Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
So I wondered if there had been some similar stuff going on for Tony Hawk to draw, and actually there was quite a bit of argy-bargy with various taxi firms. I have come across this one in Haverhill, which is like Sussex way. I don't really
Okay.
know, but it says, just quickly read you out this. This was from the 70s. Haverhill taximen are warring among themselves. Stories of false telephone calls to lure rivals onto fake journeys, taxi services' names being obliterated from telephone directories, and of one taximan being physically assaulted were cited to Haverhill councillors this week. So I'm not saying it was based on this, but this was obviously a bit of a thing. Because like I say, if you look on the archives, there's just the term taxi wars brings up quite a bit of this type of stuff. So again, it might have been steeped in truth and reality. So who
I
knows?
say, I've just looked up Haverhill. It's a very small hill. It's remarkable. Yeah, I mean, it's the picture that has come up. No, sorry, that's Clare Castle in Haverhill. But yeah, I mean, you wouldn't,
Don't
you're not
diss
you're
the
not going
research,
there as a.
Mark.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think
Just
sort
if you
of
haven't done your
between-
own.
yeah. I mean, we've realised. I
It's
mean,
between Cambridge and Bury St Edmunds and Colchester.
I think we've realised that a lot of these episodes are based on some form of reality, aren't they? Even like
definitely.
Freddie Fenton with the timeshare thing was huge at that sort of time, wasn't it? And I mean,
True.
some of them are clearly flights of fancy. The Scotch Harry with the bag of $500,000 fake dollars and that sort of thing. But I can imagine this would be steeped in truth. I think definitely.
Yes, I think so. So there we have it then, gents. A damp squib of an episode. Who knows? I'm not sure.
Well, I think
But do we
we've done
want to
it
check out
brilliantly.
what was the top 10 in 79?
Go on, Mark. Give us your rundown.
Right. This was the top 10 in the charts on the 17th
Oh,
of December,
You've got to do the
1979.
accent. You've got to do the accent.
Ba,
No,
ba,
oh no,
ba.
leave it.
Yeah, I think we'll go for one of the others. Right. So it's a bit of a mixed bag. I mean, it's absolute all-time classics. So number 10, we've got Brass in Pocket by the Pretenders.
Good song.
Tune would go on to be a number one. Then The 3 Degrees with My Simple Heart.
Don't know.
Don't know that one.
No. The Gibson Brothers with Que Sera Mi Vida.
No.
And then, which is strange for a chart around December, the only Christmas song in there, I think, was Paul McCartney, Wonderful Christmas Time.
Classic.
It's one of the best.
Apart from that middle bit where he goes ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, ding dong, which I think he's stretching his oeuvre a little bit there. Then we have, I think is the first ever hip hop song in the charts, rap song, Sugar Hill Gang with Rapper's Delight.
Oh, good one.
We have the Tourists and I Only Want to Be With You, so the future Eurythmics. Now, this is for all the Celts out there. Fiddler's Dram and The Day We Went to Bangor.
Didn't we have
Sounds like a Scotch
lovely
Harry
time
thing.
the day we went
I
to
remember that when we were at
Bangor?
school. Terrible. But then absolute 3 killer tunes at the top. We have number 3, Walking on the Moon by The Police.
Du-du.
Then I Have a Dream by ABBA.
There's an advert for ABBA in the background, I noticed in the episode.
Oh, there you go.
Yes. And Black Sabbath.
Yeah.
ABBA and Black
Rather
Sabbath
weirdly.
together.
It's what they were dreaming about when they had a dream, I think. And then number 1, and this would be the number 1 that took us from the 70s into the 80s, Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd.
Classic.
But on the very day that this episode was released, there was one key musical moment in history. It was the final concert of the band that the Beatles could have been.
Wings.
Wings' final ever concert was in Glasgow on the 17th of December, 1979.
Do you think they did Wonderful Christmas Time?
I'd imagine so.
Well, if it was in the
I
charts at
imagine
the
so.
time, he probably would have done
But
it.
and Andy,
Yes.
and especially for you, not the Kylie Minogue, Jason Donovan song, but the US number 1 this very week was Escape by Rupert Holmes.
Do, 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 Do you like pina colada? Getting caught in the rain.
Otherwise known as the Pina Colada song. Yeah. Yeah. Which I know is one of your personal favourites.
It is. It's most people's favourite, isn't it? Anyway,
It's if everyone's favourite song about a cocktail.
yes. Well, what about Margaritaville?
Yeah, close.
I think
I'd still go Escape
Yeah.
over Jimmy Buffett,
Yeah.
personally.
Yeah. I don't know. I think we're
I
drifting
love
here,
Jimmy
aren't
Buffett,
we?
though.
We've drifted past Margaritaville quite a number of minutes ago.
Stay away from the navigational beacons, I think. Yes. Yeah. Should go to Margaritaville.
So, gents, it's been another pleasure.
It has.
It's been a pleasure, not another
Do
pleasure.
you want to tell them about your little button?
I beg your pardon. So, yes,
gotta
if you
touch
are
Pete's
watching
little
this on, yes, please. If you are watching this on YouTube, there should be a little button in the bottom right-hand side, little red button. You can just click that for us. You subscribe to it, and eventually, by the time we get to 107 episodes, so many of you will have subscribed that we might even make some money from this. Who knows?
Yes. That would be great.
It would be. But other than that, thanks for
Thanks.
all your comments and all your lovely comments on the various platforms.
Yeah,
We do enjoy them, don't we?
we do. Minder on the Slate
So
pod
far,
on Twitter. Minder on the Slate on TikTok. Minder on the Slate on Facebook. You'll find us if you look for us. Yeah, Minder on the Slate pod on Twitter is the one that a lot of you are commenting on, which is really nice. We really do appreciate all the comments and some bizarre ones. We won't go into them here, but there's been a few weird ones, but generally all positive. Only one negative, but even he was nice. So I think we'll leave it there. We'll see you next time. Thanks.
see you next week,
Very
Yeah,
Jeff.
much.
thanks for joining us.
See you soon.
Take care.
Ta-ra.
Bye.
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 Bye.